In yesterday's video, we spoke about a magical trend line. That would be the major area of interest should Bitcoin hit it in the short term. And that was at about $106,900. And Bitcoin has actually perfectly spiked that, it looks like, in the early morning hours. Well, short by about $68, but close enough is close enough, I do expect, in this regard. And the question of the day is this the next lower high before Bitcoin gets ready for a big pullback? Or is Bitcoin actually getting ready for a big bad breakout above that magical trend line right there? We'll get into that in a bit here, but I do want to first go over the meta signal setup that we spoke about for the past few days. This was a 2-hour time frame setup firing off at 101,000 US dollars. Target number 1 and target number 2 have obviously been hit and massively exceeded, but I did want to look at this one as a quick example of a setup by meta signals that, you know, you should be employing, or you should be, like, you can definitely employ your own technical know-how on this. You can see that Bitcoin has already hit that same high from Friday, the 20th of June at about 106,500-ish or so. And, you know, looking at that as an area of interest for at least considering taking some profit, assuming that you're still holding some on this trade, I think personally would be a good do. That's just my opinion. You do whatever the fuck you want to do. By the way, speaking of doing whatever the fuck you want to do, if you want setups like this or other, you know, shit coins and whatnot, they do have that with meta signals. You can get a whole host of them in the link in the description below. You can try it out for free in their Discord. They fire off plenty of free signals, and then also they have a crazy deal going on right now as well. They got $3,000 cash back on their lifetime offer, and they're offering 1,000 order tokens, and they're offering discount this, discount that. You even get another like 10 or 15% discount with my own code, Crown in all capitals. There you go. Anyways, on to the topic here, and less shilling for a moment. And we can see that the daily time frame again has hit perfectly that price action pivots trend line extension just below $106,900. So if you are bearish, this place makes a lot of sense for a lower high. And there is some supporting evidence, I suppose, on the lower term timeframes that it very well may materialize into that. But I do want to very much stress here that, hey, if Bitcoin starts to close above this on a daily time frame, I mean, technically you have a breakout here, and probably at least got to move back up somewhere close to this last price action pivot high on the daily time frame. That is just under 109,000 US dollars. Now, if you do want to be super, super, super by the book, conservative, all these sort of things, you'd be waiting for Bitcoin to actually trade above this high and preferably close above this high. Again, that's the 16th of June before saying that, hey, this is a major, massive breakout and get ready for new all-time highs and all that good stuff. But you know, fair enough. As long as Bitcoin's living below this trend line, yeah, you know, it is a downtrend, and the trend is your friend as long as you let it be. And if we go over lower term time frame stochastic momentum, we can see, one, there's extremes on volatility here, so probably looking for a little bit of sideways in the short term. But even the 4-hour time frame, the 4-hour stochastic oscillator is way up here in the critical zone, levels that we haven't seen since early May, and before that only exceeded by the 23rd of April. What even was that? Yeah, that was this high over here before getting ready for some sideways. But ultimately, getting into a region like that actually is typically a bullish thing. I mean, you know, it's you don't get into super critical regions of momentum if you know when you're super bearish like that. But could you be expecting some sideways and down? Yeah, I think that that's certainly reasonable here, especially when you do see that volatility on the 4-hour time frame is at extreme highs. Looking at the 6-hour time frame, we got kind of more of the same here. 6-hour time frame in extremes, 106, 120 is the pivot. 12-hour time frame is going to be headed up to extremes on the next open. That one pivoted at $100,000. And then we should go to the higher term timeframes like the daily and above. And we should acknowledge that the daily time frame actually is pivoted to the upside as of right now, as long as Bitcoin's above 100,450. So I think it probably, you know, holds above that today. But obviously, if Bitcoin starts to, you know, really teeter-totter around this 106,900-ish region, that will get eaten up, and that will actually really start to look like a bearish reset, to be honest with you. But only time will tell, and naturally that would take, you know, I don't know, 2 to maybe 3 days of going sideways here without any like major real breakout confirmed. So do be aware of that. Other than that, I think the rest of the higher term timeframes are very much the same as what we saw before. The 2-day time frame, which is closing actually tonight, will shift back up here if Bitcoin does close above 104. Actually 104, which I think is probably likely for today. 3-day time frame, however, is going to be heading to the downside still as long as Bitcoin's below 108,900. 5-day time frame also heads to the downside. It just got a fresh open, by the way, as well. 107,750 is the pivot, so do be aware of that. And then the weekly time frame also freshly down as long as you're below about 110,000 US dollars. So we do see bifurcation in the higher term timeframes. I like to see I like to see in accordance with all of the higher term timeframes, like all of them in concert with each other, working with each other, moving in the same direction. That's when you have very, very obvious trades. In this case, we don't have that. So I don't have like a humongous bias here, except for just general trend. And that obviously would be the downside, at least on the daily time frame. But we don't really have like a big breakdown just yet or anything like this. Anyways, on top of that, I should also acknowledge that if we go back to this chart, I think it was the daily, no, it's the 2-day time frame and the 3-day time frame both have potential for hidden bullish divergence here. The 2-day time frame will close tonight, so if it closes basically anywhere above 106,150, you actually will see that fire off. The 3-day time frame can follow through not today but tomorrow. Same pivot would be required for this one, and if both of those conditions get confirmed, so as soon as we'd have that would be Thursday's close. That actually looks, that probably looks good enough for Bitcoin to get back up pretty much around the current all-time highs or very, very close to it. So I would be aware of that because this picture right now is not necessarily one-sided. But I do want, do I want to do it on this video? There's a really massive setup coming up, but it's not confirmed on either which side. So maybe I don't speak about it just yet. Yeah, I don't think I should speak about it just yet. It's going to just get confusing. But anyways, that's all second to the major setup. Here's the real setup. Here's the one that I've been hiding from you the whole fucking time. Here's what everyone wants to know. And that, of course, is the moons. The moons are getting ready to fire off yet again. Today is going to be the first day of a new moon. And what does that mean? It means typically downside. Well, not always, obviously. We did see one of the more recent ones in late April produce, it was a sideways move here and with a little bit of downside, but it wasn't like any super concerning downside move like you saw over here on January 28th, or like you saw over here on the 29th of March, or like you saw actually most recently over here on the 27th of May before this nice $10,000-$15,000 move, something like that. Anyways, this one firing off, yes, technically speaking, or technically, probabilistically speaking, more likely to produce some downside price action, but I would say that the bearish variety of these moons is certainly a lot less, what's the word I'm looking for? Efficacious than the bullish side, just for what it's worth. And by the way, we do have a new setup for that as well that has actually much better statistics for the bullish side, that is, but have to play it a little bit more uniquely. Anyways, this one, for anyone new here, it's just for fun. It's just the moons, but it does seem to work out, which is very bizarre. I don't know how to, I still don't know how to, explain that, but it is what it is. Anyways, yes, let me just make sure that we are on the same page here still. Yeah, okay, got that. Okay, also got that. Very nice. And then there's actually one secret chart, another secret chart. This is a chart that I used to look at a lot in years past. I haven't really looked at it a ton on video as of recent, but you do have the Bitcoin versus Japanese yen chart. And when things are slow and there's not necessarily like a super obvious setup on Bitcoin spot, I like to look at this chart, just see if there's anything different here. And in this case, there actually is something different. You can see that the Japanese yen chart is very, very likely to at least have a real chance to actually break out above what would be this descending price action pivots trend line right here on today's closure. That comes in 16 hours, 18 minutes, and 55 seconds. If Bitcoin closes anywhere above, especially like 15,400,000, crazy numbers, then that would be confirmed, and have to be looking for it to get somewhere up into this region here, which I imagine would be like 107.5 to 109 on Bitcoin spot. I'm just guessing. And then also, this would be a formation break to the upside. It would be a falling channel, which does have a higher probability to break out to the upside. And there is an implied target to be made on that, to be fair, which would be pointed towards new all-time highs. However, not for Japanese yen, because Japanese yen, again, is getting getting stronger versus the dollar. Thus, this chart actually does look objectively different just in general. But yeah, just a little bit of fun stuff right here. Again, it is a rather slow day, but I did want to just, briefly go over this because, well, why not? Anyways, as far as general targets, we haven't spoke about general targets if Bitcoin were to take the southern route, actually pull back from here. For that, I would just be looking at a Fibonacci retracement, which for some reason I don't have on my chart right now. Did I put it over here? I think I did put it over here. No, I did not. All right. Well, in this case, let's just draw one out. Why not? Let me go to a, regular scale. Okay. See what we got between this high and this high. And Let me just make sure that I'm not on log scale as well. Yeah, okay, beautiful. We can see the 382 level is actually coming in much further south, 103,650. The 50% retracement level is 102,650, and the 618 is actually 101,625. So, if you are looking at this as a likely rejection incoming right here, these would be the major areas of interest to the downside. But again, I don't really have a humongous bias either which way here. If I had to pick a direction, I guess I'm just going to go with the trend here, so it'd be to the downside. But I'm more interested to see if today actually breaks or not, because let's say Bitcoin does reject here, and let's say you do want to be bearish, I don't think you need to necessarily rush into position exactly right here, because realistically, it's going to take probably a day or two for any real downside to materialize. Meaning that first you'll see today probably pull back down to 106.1, 106.2 by the end of the day. That starts to look like a rejection there. Then Bitcoin trades below the low of today on Thursday or Friday. Then you actually have an objective reversal and continuation, or at least a try for continuation on trend here. Realistically, though, all of this is just one massive range, to be fair. I mean, we haven't, bears have been unable to break out to the downside, and obviously bulls have been fighting to just keep it above. But anything above 100,750, not really of significance to the downside, and anything especially below $109,000 for the boo laws, you don't really have an objective breakout to the upside as well. So a little bit of a weird day. I think that we're just waiting for the events of the rest of the week. That's what the Lizard Council is going to use as an excuse to move these prices. We got I think Jay Powell's actually speaking today again, or he's testifying in front of Congress. Then tomorrow, Thursday, I don't know, there's some economic data coming out, and then Friday you got the big one, which is PCE. So that one very likely will move markets. So I think we're probably waiting around until then, to be honest. And until then, just know where the major pivots are, know where the risk is. Yes, we still have a setup for slightly higher over here, but it is very low probability at 34%. So I would say, if you're in that trade, if I was in that trade, I'd consider taking profits. That's just me. Anyways, all of the tools here that you've seen, like the price action pivots, like the caretaker's RSI, we actually didn't look at the herpaderpa here, but I don't see anything super interesting on this one today. It did reclaim the median, to be fair. So I mean, shit, top side of the 32 level is 110,550. But anyways, it's all second to the point. You can try out all of these for free, by the way, for 7 days for any new user. The link in the description below for Teachable will show you how to get that. You don't need no code or nothing like that. It's all good. But here, I'll leave you with the last one. This is the real one. Like I said, the real chart, the one chart to rule them all. I'll sign off on that note. As always, I wish everyone the best of best. Take care, much love, and thank you for your attention in this matter.